The Spirit of Jazz podcast, where music dances with mystery, with your hosts, Bill Carter and Jeff Kellum.
Hey, welcome to the Spirit of Jazz. This is Bill Carter.
And I'm Jeff Kellum, over a piece of chocolate pie.
That's right. We're sitting in our favorite little diner having lunch and a little bit of dessert. And you know why we're doing that?
I know why we're doing it, because we need to fill some time here because we have a second part of our interview with Matt Wilson.
Yeah, it was so good the first time, and he had so much to say. We thought that we'd let you hear that conversation. We're going to pick it up where Jeff was asking Matt, so what is going on in your head while you're playing jazz? So let's see what he has to say.
One of the other things that we talked about was how much you think while you're performing. I was talking about body, mind, and spirit with the mind part. I just wonder, as other players are improvising and it's almost your turn, are you anxious? Are you trying to figure out what you're going to do? Or is this really just you're letting it go?
It's definitely a combination of all the above. I mean, I think the thinking is probably the least of it. You know, sometimes a thought can welcome a new direction, but I don't try to plan anything out. It's always a disaster if you do. And it just seems kind of fake. And maybe it's a strong word, but at the same time, it's like a yoga class or whatever, where they always say, if you have the thought, just dance with it, let it go, don't fret over it. So if you do get an idea, sometimes an idea can open a door, or I may give myself a limitation. You know, I may say, okay, I'm going to improvise with my hands here. And that challenge of that limitation or whatever welcomes me into a different zone. There are times where the thought does happen, but I don't really plan anything out per se.
Yeah. Well, it's another form of what your father told you about necessity. You know, if you just have a little bit to go with, what do you do with that?
Yeah. Like there are times, you know, the Racing Music Orchestra with Charlie Haynes, a great group that I was fortunate to get to play in for many years. There was a arrangement of America the Beautiful that Carla Blade did, and there was a solo section for me in there. And I always really tried to do something different that would just kind of freak out the band or whatever. So one night we were playing in Los Angeles. We were playing at a rock club somewhere in Los Angeles. I can't remember the name of the place. And they had two doors. They had like an entrance and an exit, or just two doors, like kind of spread apart but close to each other. So during this, I had the strap from my carry-on bag. I put it on the snare drum and I marched the audience out through the exit and then back through the entrance and then back in the club. And when I came back in, I thought, okay, this is probably it. You know, it was a good run. You know, I thought, okay, Charlie will be cool, but okay, I wouldn't be surprised. I look back, I sit back down, I put the drum on the stand, I'm playing, setting up. We go into Skies of America, the great Ornette Coleman composition. We go into that. I look back at Charlie, and Charlie goes. So, and he was always kind of wanting me to repeat some things. I said, Charlie, I won't do that again. I mean, it's kind of one of my goals is not to, so I mean, I think part of it too is just, disarming people. I mean, the jazz performances can get, for music that's not supposed to be predictable, can get pretty predictable. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes, solo orders or, lengths of tunes or whatever, right? So it's when we hear some people that really do stir it up, it's always great.
Yeah, it's in the moment and you can't repeat the moment.
No, you can't. It's like, you just keep going, and you know that you get to do it another day, and you just keep exploring. But I have to say, it never ceases to amaze me what can go down. I mean, it's still thrilling to, like, wow, this can happen, and I don't take it, you're never too cool for school to like, oh, well, here we go again. This is not here we go again. This is like every time it can be, very, very unique. So that's something too, is to really welcome that and celebrate it, celebrate like, wow, those were nice moments. Now we get to do it again, tomorrow. We can't relive that by any means.
So how do you prepare for that moment? Do you have like little rituals you go through? Do you turn off the lights, light a candle? I mean, what do you do?
No, I don't really have anything like that Bill, because then if it doesn't happen, then that's again getting back to the no expectations, no disappointments. I can eat before a gig or not. I can wear heeled shoes. I can wear flat soled. I don't really have anything that I have to have. I do know that I do turn on like a performance thing. Like when I may be backstage and when I walk out there, okay, now we're getting into that zone. But I mean, I think I kind of live it all the time. I mean, to me, this music is, we're always improvising. So, that's the fun thing about being on the road. It's just the fun and the jokes and the hassling people and coming up with after a while, you guys have traveled with musicians. You have your own language after a few days, right. Bits that you've come up with or whatever. And then all of a sudden people feel like they're on the outside a little bit because you're in this insular thing, but that's kind of fun part of it too. Thrilling part of it. It's fun.
Yeah. Jeff was telling me about the cruise and he said, one of the things that kind of struck him is the musicians blended in with the civilians. And I said, well, sure they do. Of course they do.
Yeah. We're not, nobody is more, we get up there and do this. This is, it's what it is. Everybody does something, that's the thing, right? Everybody has something they offer. And if we have that kind of, again, it's getting back to that respect of being felt and heard. If you're a teacher or a cook or a mechanic or whatever, that feeling that, and I think if we welcome that more into as human beings into how we interact and how we deal, then I think it will make help make the world a little bit of a better place. Obviously.
Yeah. So was Eddie Allen's brother? Is that Carl Allen?
Yeah, Carl Allen.
Yeah. When he met with the students following a brief performance, he did a workshop and he talked about the stage being such a sacred place for him that he would go to a concert and he'd want to communicate with somebody on the stage, but he said, I would never go up on that stage. I would wait till the performance was over and they came off the stage. He said, I just don't want to invade that space.
No.
It's when you mentioned going on the stage before a performance, now you're getting into it. So it is a special thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things I missed during the pandemic was just, to be perfectly honest, was show business. I mean, just the prep, getting dressed. I love all that part of it. I love setting up the way the stage looks, the way. So I think that's why maybe one of the reasons musicians have been conscious of, clothing or whatever. We want to create this other world, for us to be in, and then we do get to go and do that, and which is a nice thing to have happen. It's a really nice escape or nice. I don't usually use that word anymore. I don't think it's an escape at all. It's like a welcoming into a zone that just
right.
Like anything. It's not. I'm not leaving. I'm not doing it to get away from things. I'm doing it to open up what I'm already doing. And again, it's not that different than that way all the time. Some people have real things. I respect what everybody. I just read the Sonny Rollins biography. I mean, Mr. Rollins played from the sound check all the way up to the gig, and he was playing like for hours up. Just basically just kept going.
Yeah.
Ernie Watts, I know is kind of similar to that in a way. Other people, when they start, when they're walking out to the gig, that's when they start. So there's all these different ways to approach it, and I respect them all. It's very nice.
Well, I think every musician, every creative person has to figure out what works best for them.
Yeah.
It's usually what works best for them in that occasion.
I mean, I think it was perhaps we brought up Adrian earlier, and then we had another great minister at the First Presbyterian Church of Baldwin right after that, named Adam Fisher. Now he's down south, very good. And he came to a few things, and 2 gigs in town. He read one of the Sandberg poems one night. He was just thrilled that he was a part of it. He was up there with the jazz band. He talked about it in church. I'm up there with the band,
Yeah.
But they both just said, wow, to them, that's really what this is all about. I mean, really just channeling it for the moment and welcoming it is probably religion and personified, right? There before you.
Yeah.
So very much so. So, I mean, that kind of getting out of the way kind of aspect of welcoming.
Well, and it's spiritual power brought to this assembly of people, this particular gathering. I mean, I find that as a preacher, I mean, sometimes it falls flat. Well, why does it fall flat? Well, I'm trying to be impressive. Every one of my words in the sentence starts with the letter P, and it's just dumb.
Yeah. This is funny because Adam was getting ready to, maybe I was still on session, or maybe I was leaving the session or something at that point. And Adam was still there. And he was like, oh yeah, Matt, out for some unpredictability to the service sometimes, if he's playing or whatever. And then I mentioned about him, sometimes Adam's sermons are, most of the time, are really great. Sometimes there's one every once in a while that, it's like a solo, he's trying, it's not, so I'd rather have one every once in a while be like, than they'll all be nice, Right. It's like one time I was with Charlie Colhay's group. Charlie is great baritone and alto saxophonist from Boston. We were in the Yale Orchestra together, and then I was in his groups. And we were playing a concert once, and these two older women were leaving the concert. It was at a library, and one of them said, I really enjoyed that. And the other one said, I hated it. And so we thought, well, that's kind of a cool conversation, right? Because then if it was nice, they wouldn't have talked about it.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. But sometimes when something challenges us and we don't like it, it may be more of an edge. That's why we can never, ever assume or make the decision about what people are going to want to hear or not. If you're honest, then that's the best thing that you can do. You can't go out and try to customize something for someone. I don't change what it is at all. If it's Norfolk, Nebraska, or if it's New York, or if it's, I never change it.
Yeah.
Don't think, oh, these people aren't going to, don't ever assume that anybody, because they may get it more than the educated audiences. I don't really like those people anyway. I like people who just want to come and experience something. So that's why, if you go out and if you're honest and clear and offer it with grace, then you have a pretty good chance of reaching some people. Yeah, again, they may not like every part of it. That's not the point. Point is to challenge them, and they may walk away and go, I don't know about that, but it made me think, without alien, you're not going out to do it to alien. It's not the point. If you're honest, you just go out and do what you do, then, it's going to have, that's why I always love, I was just bringing that up the other day to some students, like the beauty of someone like Max Roach, for example, one of our great American musicians, Black American musician at the highest order of, he would talk about, when I was younger, interviews where he'd say, if they do it at such a high level, it doesn't matter the genre, and it could be Charlie Parker, it could be Willie Nelson, he said it could be Pavarotti. When someone has that level of what they do. And he was such you could tell he was such a conduit for that and welcoming that kind of spirit. So, I admire those kind of folks, they're always searching, always trying different things.
Always showing up.
Yeah, always showing. I mean, Max showed up, and he was very thoughtful, and Mr. Roach was amazing at that. So I've always been more about that, about the experience than the actual whether or not I played well. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, I think after a while, it's more about the overall thing than my personal prowess on the instrument. I mean, that's, we still work on that to get to the level, but I like the aspect of the music. As a matter of fact, I have these t-shirts I found and I gave it Christmas, which is, that's a horrible idea. What time? It's kind of one of my, Jeff Letter and I's, one of our things is now the challenge is the project. We know the music, we know the musicians, but it's to come up with the event, and say, okay, or my mom used to say program. Well, that was such a good program they put on word. And it's so funny now, I use these same words. Mom, it's a gig, we're not doing it, but it's a program, put together a nice program of music. Sure. I've ever said it to Lovato one time. I said, Chuck, man, it was a nice program. Like, I said, I sound like my mom, but it was cool, like a nice program. Like, okay, nice. So it all ties in together.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt Wilson, thanks for showing up today.
What are you talking about? I mean, this is great.
We had a great rehearsal, and I'm glad that the performance now has lived up to what I told Bill that billing would be.
Exactly. All right, gentlemen, have a great one.
Hey, thank you.
I'll talk to you guys soon. All right.
Okay. Hey, thanks. See ya.
Here, see you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Spirit of Jazz podcast. This is a production of Presbybop Music. To find out more about Presbybop, our music, concerts, and recordings, please explore our website at www.presbybop.com.
And send us a note telling us what you think about the spirit of jazz. We'd love to hear from you. Check in with us again next time. I'm Jeff Kellum.
And I'm Bill Carter. Thanks for tuning in.